Hello and welcome to the Week 3 preview show of the Jefferson Madrinks Fantasy Podcast, the pod on a mission to normalise 18 leagues. I'm Pete McManus and I'm joined, as always, by angry at the Chiefs fan, Ian Harrison. How are you, mate?
Yes. Another season where we started 0-2, so...
You did call it last week, though.
I did call it, to be fair. So, it's disappointing, especially with the way we lost. But like I said last week, I'm not panicking.
It's Week 3 preview, mate. So the season starts here.
For us, yeah.
If you want another positive, you're not. It's not like you've got to catch the Ravens. They're right there with you at 0-2. So
no, we've got to catch the Steelers.
Yeah, what it's all about. I mean, they've had a soft start, to be fair, but that defense is going to win them 9 games.
2-0 with 1 touchdown scored.
Yeah. Do you think Justin Fields is keeping that job?
It's a tough question, isn't it? Because he is 2-0, although he's not playing well.
No, but
I don't think he does.
I think it was one of the things I was thinking about today, because I was like, that's a tough decision now. Because if they were 1-1 or they'd lost the first 2 games and Russell Wilson's back, it's like you can throw him back in. But he said Russell Wilson was a starter. Then Russell Wilson gets injured. Then Fields comes in and they go 2-0. So the obvious thing to do is just bring Russell Wilson back in if he's available this week. But if they brings them back in and then they get beat, everyone's going to be looking around going, well, why would you do that?
Yeah, but I mean, they can lose, but Russell Wilson still plays really well, and I think people will understand that it wasn't Russell's fault.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would say is, and it pains me, it's not this week. I think it's next week they're playing the Colts. They've got. Let me tell you, I'm just checking the fixtures. Yes, so they've got
Chargers. Thank you.
They've got the Colts the week after next, and I mean, Justin Fields is probably going to run for about 150 yards if he plays against the Colts, because everybody is running all over the Colts. We've been rushed on for 405 yards in 2 weeks, so that's pretty bad.
Any running back playing against the Colts is the guy to put in your team.
Yeah, get them lined up, get them in your team. As it stands, we clearly do not know how to stop the run. So this week it's the Bears coming to town. So finally, your DeAndre Swift that you drafted so often across the summer might be the man to play.
This is exactly why I drafted him, just for this.
Yeah,
he's not had a good start to the year.
No, we really need a win this week. We'll get to the preview, but I mean, we're not going to preview the Colts. We really need a win. And yesterday was a prime example. So for those obviously listening and watching, we are recording on Monday. I've got somewhere to be tomorrow. H has got other things going on. I'm not even sure if H is still a part of this podcast, to be honest. I don't know how many.
I'm all right. We're just not mentioning him anymore until he comes back.
I think
dead to us.
Yeah, he's basically on IR at this point. He's out for a significant amount of weeks. We don't know if he's coming back next week. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think if he was a running back, we'd be like, he's week to week. We're not sure. We're not sure where he's coming back. But yeah,
if there's any other podcast, anyone else out there listening who's got their own podcast, H is currently on the trade block.
Trade for him.
Yeah.
Is there any other podcast you listen to where we could be like, oh, won't mind him. We'll trade him for H.
Yeah, just trade him. We'll take a box of celebrations in compensation.
Just chocolate. Yeah, so Chief beats the Bengals. Oh no, I was talking about the Colts one. Yeah, Colts, we need a win. Yesterday was a prime example. We're recording Monday, so yesterday was a prime example of what our season's going to be all about. Like the Anthony Richardson roller coaster is going to have its ups and it's going to have its never really getting started downs. So Jonathan Taylor did what Jonathan Taylor does yesterday and ran for over 100 yards, and it just didn't seem to matter because Richardson can't complete passes sometimes.
No.
So he's going to have games where he hits 3 or 4 absolute bombs and we're going to win by 15 points. and he's going to have games where he just can't get it going. So the Bears will be interesting this week. On
though.
I mean, yeah, well, it's not. I can't imagine anybody tune in and watch that one. We do need to mention Derek Carr and the Saints, though.
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
I'm gonna do my victory dance early because it probably ends here. But I did say Derek Carr would be useful this year, and I said, and at this start, all this start is doing is confirming he's going to be like QB 16, as I promised he would be by the end of the season.
In fairness, you also did say that Kamara was too old and he was past it.
Yeah, and he is. He's just taking a while to kick in. Yeah, he looked like he had a new lease of life yesterday.
Yeah, Cowboys in full playoff form.
Yeah, I don't understand the Cowboys at all.
No, completely
don't understand
random,
it. Yeah, they can go anywhere and beat anyone, and then some team just turns up at their gap and drops 30 points on them in 20 minutes. We saw it in the playoffs. We saw it yesterday. I think, did they not lose to the Cardinals in like week 2 or 3 last season as well? Like started off quite well, and then I'm sure they went to the Cardinals and got beat by I'm sure it was the Cardinals or somebody like that, and they just got a big defeat in them every so often.
Yeah, they haven't. It's just once in a while they just won't turn up, or they'll completely switch off.
Yeah, and I think Dak gets a lot of criticism for it, and I'm not saying he's blameless, but they always seem to be like 30 points down. I'm like, that doesn't happen to other top quarterbacks. Like that wouldn't happen to Mahomes. It wouldn't happen to Burrow because the defense would go, well, we'll just stop them for a bit until you like get your game going. Like Mahomes he's never in a 30-point hole. So he is a much better quarterback than Dak Prescott. Don't get me wrong. He's one of the best of all time. But his defense never puts him in a 30-point hole that he's got to climb out of. Whereas Dak Prescott has a bad 20 minutes and suddenly they're 30 points down.
Well, that's what's even more puzzling because Cowboys D is up there, isn't it? One of the better defenses in the league. And yet somehow they find themselves getting absolutely blown away at home by middle of the road Derek Carr.
So is that coaching or is that, I don't know, is that coaching or is that like the personalities of the players? Because it was the same last year. They were the best defense, one of the best defenses in the league, gets to the playoffs and they get blown apart by the Packers. And I don't understand how that happens. I don't understand how you go from one of the best defenses in the league to just getting blown apart in a game.
Well, the coaching doesn't change. It's the same coaches, it's the same schemes, it's the same players. It must just be like they go, oh, we've got this. Don't worry about it. Chill out. And then we start running at 80%, 85%, and you can't do that because teams will find a way to get through that, which the Saints did really well.
Yeah. That's like, did they get to 90 odd points in 2 weeks? That's impressive.
That is good. It's good going that. Yeah.
I think everyone took it with a pinch of salt when they put 47 up on the Panthers, but to put 40 plus up on the Cowboys no matter how bad the Cowboys were, that was an impressive performance. They'll be interested to see. They're definitely going down after 2 weeks as the most improved team in the league. If they're not necessarily a Super Bowl contender, as I was joking about last night.
Yeah.
But you never know. I suppose we should talk about Tua because that was probably the biggest story of the weekend, and we've just seen that it's just said that they've signed Tyler Huntley from the Ravens?
Yeah. Former Pro Bowler Tyler Huntley.
Yeah.
I don't get that one. I just don't.
Do you know
I think it's better backups. I would have liked to have seen Trey Lance. I really would have liked to see Trey Lance get another shot. I think he's earned it.
What surprises me about NFL teams is, and this happens all the time, is they go into the season with 3 quarterbacks usually. That's your start. Like you've got your number 1 starting quarterback. Then they're like, right, they play 2 or 3 preseason games and like work out who the backup is. And they've obviously gone. The backup is, I've forgotten his name now. Whoever came in on
Skylar Thompson
came in on Thursday night. He's the backup. And then the third choice is usually a rookie or someone younger or someone they're working with, and whatever. They've got 3. And then as soon as the main guy goes down, they go, right, well, we need to go and get someone. It's like, well, what was the point? Surely that's what you do in the beginning of the season. You go and line someone up, and you lined up Skylar Thompson and then gone, well, actually, no, we'd rather have the lad on the Ravens practice squad, and then we'll just throw him in, having not worked with the team. And you know he's going to start at the weekend.
Oh, no, they've already said Skylar Thompson's he's running
the
offense.
Sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, he's running the offense for the foreseeable, and Tyler Huntley is purely a depth piece. But I would have liked to have seen the Dolphins go out and get, a Trey Lance. Like, if I was the Steelers, I'd be going to the Dolphins and having their eyes out for Justin Fields now that Russell's back. The Patriots have got Brisket and 2 rookie quarterbacks. They've got 1 extra that they don't need. I think there's better options out there than Tyler Huntley. I would have liked to have seen him go for Joe Milton at the Patriots.
Yeah. I think the problem with the Patriots is Brisket's starting, isn't he? And Drake May's obviously going to come in at some point later in the season when they've sorted their line out and they feel a little bit more comfortable with it. So they're not going to want to trade either of them.
No.
Do you think Tua's coming back, or do you think that's it?
Not this season. Definitely not this season.
Do you think he's coming back at all?
Well, he's meeting neurologists this week to talk about how bad it is and how we can recover. He's guaranteed 167 million in injury guarantees. So if he can't pass a medical, he gets paid. And I honestly think long term, I think it's in his best interests to just knock it on the head. Pardon the pun.
Yeah, that was a terrible choice of words, mate. The thing when you watch it, it's just not even that bad a hit. Like, yes, he should probably slide and all this and the other, but you see that sort of contact all the time, and it's just that worrying thing that he just doesn't seem to have to be touched that much, and it really has an effect on him. And then you just kind of go, I think I'd rather see you just hang it up. And Dolphins fans might disagree, but I don't want to see him come in and end up having a really devastating injury that puts him, in some serious bother. So where he can't remember who he is and
then
who his family.
Why is he going head first? Why is he giving up in a head first position? He should be sliding your feet there.
Yes, he should, and that he should be. But the problem with that is, you slide with your feet. They tend to draw the line a little bit early. If he slides with his feet and misses that line by a yard, everyone would have spent the whole weekend saying he's a wimp and he's not strong enough to play the game and everything else. He should be sliding.
Because they're not saying that now.
No, they should have slide. He should be sliding, and then they should have drilled that into him across the in. Anyway, one last point I wanted to make before we get to the end of our first quarter and wrap up what was a really enjoyable weekend. But what was terrible about it was the red zone. We know we've already talked about this, but the red zone split yesterday.
Oh, I know where this is going.
Trying to keep up with 10 games yesterday. My God, my brain was fried. I was like, what is going on here? Fair play to Scott Hansen, but that 10 is a lot.
Yeah, he earns his money last night. I thought of you when the Decker box came up, and I thought Pete's going to be Beetle.
No one I know has a big enough TV to make that work. So I was like, what's going on here?
Oh no, we know someone.
Oh well, yeah, maybe. I think the promising thing about week 3 is I've already looked at the split, and it's 7 early games, 5 later games. I was like, that's a little bit more like it. I can get on board with that. That's the sort of even split that I need. So in quarter two, we're going to talk fantasy in our section that I'm calling I Appreciate You. Do you want to kick us off, or you got one or two people to talk about? You sounds like you've had a good week in fantasy. Anybody that really, really did it for you?
Well, I've already mentioned him, Alvin Kamara. 20
Yeah,
carries, 115 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 receptions, 65 yards, another touchdown for 44.5 points.
not a bad performance, that.
Nearly
Wasn't bad.
made it into the 50 club.
Yeah, depending on your scoring. But yeah, he was all right. He did all right.
Who's-
It's not bad.
What's it
He'll
going
never
to
make it.
take for you to admit it?
Hey, you know, I've got him in a couple of leagues. I was absolutely fine with it. So I picked him up as like a later round running back when I was like, you never know, especially in. I didn't expect the points this way because I picked him up in a few leagues because it was all the sort of the dink and dunk stuff from last year where he's just getting 15 receptions for like 10 yards because he couldn't actually get anywhere. But Derek Carr was just going, hey, I have the ball again. So I was like, well, I'll take the 15 points for receptions. So I have got him in a few leagues. So I was quite happy to watch him go. But he did look good yesterday. I don't mind admitting he did look good. Do you think he can keep it up for the season though?
What, 44 points a game? Probably not.
No, well, not that, but necessarily. But like can he keep being a big important player for your fantasy team 14 straight weeks to get you to the playoffs? Because he's not as young as he used to be. I've pointed this out several times.
He's like 28.
But aging running backs, that's what they do. They start well because they're all refreshed, and then it drops off as it gets towards the end of the year. Just might be worth bearing in mind when I send you some trade offers.
Yeah. Is he not like 1 year older than Jonathan Taylor or something? And
no, he's got to be that. He's got to be more than that. He's got a lot more. He's got a lot more wear on his tires than Jonathan Taylor.
Yes, fair enough.
Well, I'm going to kick us off with one. This one. For those watching, for those listening, can't see my Kyler Murray T-shirt that I bought years ago and thought I've spent. I'm not going to tell you how much time I spent trying to find this T-shirt specifically for your YouTube video today. But I was like, Kyler Murray was one of my. Kyler Murray was one of my summer, like, I'm back on this train. And Ian and anyone else who knows me knows I was well into Kyler Murray for several years. And
you've never not been on the Kyler Murray train.
Yeah, he inevitably always disappoints. But I saw bits and pieces against the Bills. And then he was part of my selection nightmare last week, and you advised me to play him, and that was where I was thinking of going, and you gave me the confidence to play him, and he looked really good in that offense yesterday. And I know the Rams weren't very good, but do you know what they did when you watch him? And I've obviously watched more of him than you have because I pay more attention because he's been in so many of my teams over the years. But he looks like the same player he was a few years ago, but now he's got weapons and that ability to extend the play and run around a little bit more. And now he's looking up and he's got Trey McBride on, 20 yards down the field. He's got Marvin Harrison going, I'm 50 yards down the field with nobody anywhere near me. Whereas previously he would have had, Zay Jones wouldn't have been Zay Jones. I'm trying to think of somebody who's just left the Cardinals, but previously it would have been like just random no-namers like going, oh, I'm still, he's just got nothing
Hollywood
to play
Brown.
with. And James Conner looks really good. I'm not, again, like Kamara, I'm not sure he can keep it going for the whole season, but James Conner looks really good. Like I said, he's got McBride, he's got Harrison, he's got the ability to run, and I'm getting a little bit excited after 1 week, but I mean, they were comfortable yesterday. He was 17 of 21, 266 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he added 59 rushing yards on 5 rushes. And I think looking at their schedule, I think he can keep that up for the next few weeks. He'll have a bad game. Every QB has a bad game now and again, but I think the players he's got now really giving him a chance to be a top quarterback. So I just hope he stays healthy and carries me to several championships.
Yeah, I'd love someone to track his movement behind the line of scrimmage just to see how many yards he actually moves around without gaining yards. Because that would be
Yeah,
a fun stat.
but it
Because he probably
looks
runs
it,
and it's all in the pocket.
yeah, but previously it looked a little bit panicky and a little bit jokey. Like you must have, there's been tons of memes with like clown music over the top of it and things like that. Whereas
Yeah.
yesterday it looked a little bit more confident and a little bit more assured in the offense. And it'd be interesting to see because the Rams don't look great in terms of overall as a team. I think they're struggling to hold. Well, I mean, every part of their team is getting injured, but they're struggling to hold that all together a little bit. But he looked good yesterday. But another from other than him, shout outs from me to my Thursday night got off to a cracking start thanks to James Cook and Devon Achane.
Yeah.
Achan. Forgot what we're calling
Devon Achane.
Achan, sorry. Yeah, I mean, James Cook only touched the ball 12 times and ended up with the best part of 30 points. So, in fact, he had 6 touches in the first half and he had 3 touchdowns. I was like, by 2:30 on Friday morning, I was very happy with his performance. And Achan, I mean, Achan looks like he's keeping that team rolling. And he's not only is electric on the ground, but that's 2 weeks on the trot. He's had 7 targets, 7 catches. And if you're doing that from running back in a full PPR league, you are going to score massive points on a regular basis and be one of the best. If he stays fit and keeps that up all season, he'll be one of the top 5 running backs at the end of the year easily. Because the encouraging thing about that was when Skylar Thompson came in, they kept Achan in there and he was throwing him the ball, and I was like, I'll take this next week. He can stay in my team.
Yeah, I am concerned about Mostert coming back from his chest injury, whether that eats into Achan's production, or whether they start giving Jalen Wright a few more reps. But the guy's an absolute beast.
I think they're always going to rotate a bit. They put Jeff Wilson in there. Jeff Wilson got injured. They put Jalen Wright in there for a bit. Yeah, they put Jalen Wright in there on Thursday. So he's never going to get the full workload. But when you're as explosive as that, you don't need the full workload. I mean, he did have 22 rushes and, like I said, 7 targets. So he's probably not going to get that level. But I think if you even where you drafted him, you don't need him to get that level. He's just efficient with it. Anyone else you wanted to mention?
Yeah, there is a receiver I want to mention purely because he did it against the Ravens and did the Bengals a massive favour. And it's Davante Adams. 9 receptions. I thought you were going to go
Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers. I should have gone Brock Bowers. I was so high on him. Love the guy. Davante Adams, 9 receptions, 110 yards, a touchdown, 26 points.
Yeah.
Incredible return. I feel like I'm just picking really, really old players.
Do you know what though? I've thought this for a while with fantasy. I think there is that tendency, especially if you spend too much time thinking about it, there is that tendency to just try and move on from the old guys too early. Especially with receivers, like Davante Adams has not shown any signs of dropping off at any point in his career, at any point in the last few years. Even last year when he had really dodgy quarterback play, and I'm not suggesting it's any better now, but really dodgy quarterback play across the year, he still put up big numbers and ended up as whatever he was, top 10, top 12 wide receiver. So
wide receiver 10 last year, yeah.
Yeah, and nobody wants to draft a player who then comes in and looks really old, and that's part of it. But when they, there is always that chance that you just go, he might just be the same Davante Adams he's been for the last couple of years, and he puts up big numbers like he did yesterday.
Yeah. Anyone else you want to appreciate?
No, they were the main 3 for me. Brandon Aubrey did it again, but I mentioned him last week, so I'm gonna back off. In Murph's, I know I mentioned this to you and H on the chat, but in Murph's FFCC charity bowl, which any charity bowl is always worth mentioning, he had some really interesting point scoring for kickers, which made me, you, and H all take kickers a little bit earlier than I think most of the people in our league, and it really paid off for me yesterday. I think Aubrey got about 50 points and Justin Tucker got about 45. So I was like, well, that's that over. I won that one. So yeah, it really paid off for me. So the kickers are putting up big points so far. It's been a lot of rushing and a lot of kicking.
Yeah. Who are you hating on?
I don't really want to say I'm hating on Tua, but he has let me down. So it feels a bit harsh. But I will just mention his name.
I'll tell you someone who has let you down because you've been high on him, Bryce Young.
I have not been high on. At no point was I high on Bryce.
You have been a staunch defender of Bryce Young.
I told you Bryce Young was done at the end of last year. He wasn't going to. And the thing is, the closer I got to this year, the more I was like, you never know, they might find a player in there, but no, it's just not there. And what did he call him? The Red Rifle is coming in to take over.
Andy Dalton, yeah. I saw someone post on Twitter that Andy Dalton's next 4 games are all against teams he's played for. I'm like, that is some revenge tour.
Andy Dalton still in the NFL in 2024 just shows you how hard it is to find good quarterbacks knocking it, good young quarterbacks.
Yeah. Is he worth a waiver?
No, not unless you're in a really, really deep league. Although going back to, and Murph's already had one mention on this podcast, but now he's getting another. Are you in that flex frenzy league?
Yes.
I had Bryce. Yeah. I had the full Panthers in one of them, so I'm going to have to get rid of Young and bring in Andy Dalton. So I will be wavering him in one league.
Fair enough.
The player that let me down the most this weekend was Tank Dell. 4 targets, 1 catch, -3 yards, and 3 rushes for 16 yards. So he ended up with depending on your scoring format, about 2 points. So, and I needed him to outscore the Texans kicker Fairbairn, and he got nowhere near outscoring him. In fact, he lost that battle by 20 points. So, yeah, Tank Dell really let me down. But I didn't see the game, but I believe he dropped what would have ended up as a 50-yard touchdown pass, and then all of a sudden it changes your outlook of Tank Dell's week. So maybe I'm being a little bit hard because he is that sort of player.
Yeah. I've got a couple that have annoyed me this week. I won't go into too much detail about it, but Michael Pittman's one of them.
Yeah. H isn't happy with him either.
Is he not?
H, right. No. H, formerly of this podcast. He's not very happy.
You'll know more than me because you'll have watched the game, but 3 of 7 for 21 yards. I mean, were the 4 that he didn't catch, were they catchable or?
Honestly, I was trying to watch Red Zone, but so can't watch Red Zone and keep up with that game at the same time. But having watched enough of us this year, I can assure you that at least 2 of them weren't catchable. So that's the way. Anthony Richardson's running at about 50% catchable. So yeah, he's going to be a frustrating own this year.
Yeah, and there's one more before the end of the quarter that I'd like to mention, and this is someone that could be like a longer term concern as well. But Amari Cooper,
yeah,
as good as he was last year, that's 3.6 points. Sorry, 4.1 this week. 3 of 8 for 11 yards, and in week 1 he only scored 3.6. I mean, for someone that can score as heavily as that as he did last year, that is incredibly concerning.
I saw a stat on X that he's been kept under 20 yards for obviously the second week on the trot, and that's the first time that's happened since 2018. He's never gone 2 games on the trot under 20 yards in 6 years.
Right. Oh, wow.
Yeah, right. It's not good for him. I blame Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, you've got to, haven't you? You got to.
Yeah.
But he's getting out targeted by Jerry Jeudy at the minute, which is baffling, really.
The frustrating thing for Cooper is when Njoku went out injured, I think everybody who owns Cooper would have been like, well, he's going to see tons of targets, loads of activity. It's all going to go to Amari Cooper now. So to come back with what you just said, like 3 of 8 for 11 yards, that's horrendous.
Yeah.
Flying through this episode.
We are, aren't we?
Game day. So last week we discussed No, we didn't discuss captains on this, but you will have seen on our socials, because I know everybody who listens to this and views us on YouTube then goes and checks our socials on a regular basis.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You will have seen that we went with Cooper Kupp, because obviously, what a great pick that is, or was, until he got injured.
Yes. Yeah. 15.4 points. And that's after doubling it.
Yeah. As the captain. Do you want to, before you tell everybody where we finished, do you want to run through the rest of the roster in case they didn't see it?
Yes. So the rest of the roster, we had Kyler Murray, 28 points. Isaiah Pacheco, 16 points. J.K. Dobbins for 20. Harrison Jr. for 29. Garrett Wilson for 10. Carr Bonnet for 17. And my boy, Brock Bowers, for 18 points.
That feels like a good performance, despite the terrible captain pick, which was my fault.
It was a great performance. We actually finished 25th
in the money,
which puts us in the money. We won £19.66. So we are in profit through 2 weeks.
Officially £4 odd up.
We are officially up.
One small step at a time. We are taking Fantasy Game Day to the cleaners.
That's right. Yeah.
In about 40 years' time, they'll have no money left. So I'm taking £2 a week off them. Right. Well, we're recording early, so we haven't even got they haven't released the new game for this week, so we can't tell you who going with as captain. But we will look at that again. We'll put that on socials to keep an eye out for that. Anyone's got any advice for us? Not that we need it, because we just smashed it there with a massive £19 win.
We definitely need advice on captain now.
Yeah, that's 2 weeks on the trot. We've not done very well.
2 weeks on the trot. So our captain's let us down 2 weeks running. But for
anyone that does want to get involved,
I know. Yeah, we'll get him involved. You know, it's like a testimonial kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll get an honorary pick, so H can pick the captain this week. In fact, H can pick the whole team.
I tell you, it might be a good shout moving forward. Did you see how many targets, or at least what percentage of the targets Malik Neighbours got yesterday?
He got bonkers amount, didn't he? He got 18 targets.
Yeah, it was something like 66% of all their targets went to Malik Neighbours. Yeah. It was the highest number of
percentage
10 years or something. Yeah, highest number as a percentage. They're playing who are they playing this week? Why can't I see them on the list? They're playing the Browns. That's not going to work. Forget it.
Amon-Ra St. Brown got 19 targets this week.
On one leg, because he was hobbling around.
Yeah. They are expecting him to be back next week, though. He's ruled out with a contusion, which, in simple terms, is a bruise.
Good, because there's just too many.
I can't imagine Amon-Ra going off injured with a bruise. It's gone down well with his dad.
No. I bet I'm surprised we didn't see his dad in the crowd going, "Just drink some Coke and you'll be fine." So what's that? A 500ml bottle of Coke down to him?
What an idiot Amon-Ra St. Brown's dad is.
Mate, I'm telling you, until you've watched Hard Knocks and seen Tyson Bagent's dad.
Tyson Bagent's dad.
Yeah, he definitely rivals him. For anyone who's not already signed up for Game Day, you need to. It's a great game. It's a lot of fun. If you use the promo code JMDFS, you basically get a free game on us. So you pay for one game, you get a free game thanks to us and the guys at Game Day. So good luck, Fantasy Game Day. So download the app and get involved in that. It is good fun watching you move up and down. And if you can nail, it just shows you don't even need to nail the captain. Can you imagine if we'd have nailed the captain, we would have won yesterday?
Potentially, yeah. We could have, yeah.
Switch them around. Put Marvin Harrison as captain instead, and then we would have been flying. In terms of our JMD Dynasty League, obviously we're not at the end of the week, so it's a little bit hard for me to go through and go, right, these are the players that have scored the most. But there was a couple that were jumping out in my division. The Last Waltz has finished. They haven't got anybody left to play, and he's broken the 200 barrier. So we've got our first
Nice.
200 club member in the JMD Dynasty League. 201.78 points. So congratulations to the Last Waltz. What a massive week that is. The biggest week so far. In the Elway division, team DS Liddy 92 is on 184.78. And they are playing you, mate. Unfortunately.
I know. I've not had a good week in that league, actually.
No, well, it doesn't matter if you have a good week because you're up a bit like I was last week. You're up against the biggest scorer in the division.
Yeah.
In the Merino division, Sherlock Mahomes has, which is a great team name, by the way. Shout out to that.
That's who I'm playing against.
What, Sherlock Mahomes? Oh, have I got that wrong? Well, they're on 175.44 with Hurt still to play. So it was like that's got potential 200 barrier with it as well. And then in the Brady division, the team called Owner of Brady is only on 139, but they are projected to get to 183 because they've still got Bijan, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert to play, and they are up against H. So far through 2 weeks, there's been some mammoth scoring against the hosts of this podcast. And the people running the league are getting absolutely torched, left, right, and centre. So, but we're not doing it for our own gain. So you've obviously got those. We like to shout out some of the top scores. I'm not going to do some of the lowest scores this week. We've obviously got the second round, if you want to call it, of the cup this week as well. So as soon as the full scores are in yet tomorrow, I will review all of that and I'll put it out on our socials as well as in all of the league chats for those who are in it, so they can see who's through to the quarterfinals next week of the cup. Waivers. Anyone who's sticking out to you on waivers this week?
Yeah, there's a couple actually. Have you got any before I launch out?
I've got 4 names that I've written down, and
okay.
I'm not really that interested in any of them, which is a bit weird. But I've put Derek Carr ? Because I think if you've just lost Tua or you lost Jordan Love, it's not a fluke. It's 2 weeks and it's not a fluke at this point. So if you're in a superflex, I don't think he's really he's still not worth it in a 1 QB league, but he's not really relevant in most of my leagues, but I do think he was worth mentioning. The other one I've written down, we've already mentioned him, Quentin Johnston, 6 targets, 5 receptions, only 51 yards, but 2 touchdowns. He's got a good quarterback throwing him the ball, and if he turns up as the number 1 option on that offense, then he could be a good pickup early in the season.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, I've been, I've not given up on Quentin Johnston, and I've already got him in quite a few leagues.
To be fair, you haven't.
So I'm glad that's coming round. Not just for me, but for him as well. Like I actually really like Quentin Johnston, so good on him. I've got 3 or 4 as well. Samaje Perine.
Yeah.
At the Chiefs, next man up with Pacheco being out. He's out for 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah.
Is it going to be another going to bring Clyde Edwards-Helaire in?
No, it'll be Perine. Definitely Perine.
What?
Clyde he'll probably use Carson Steele a bit more, the fullback. He looks all right. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he is a passing. He's a blocking running back. He's only in there for pass rush. Samaje Perine, next man up for the Chiefs. I think you'll get a lot of work out of the backfield on swing passes and screens and just rubbish Mahomes crap that Andy Reid comes up with underneath the line of scrimmage, little shovel passes. I think Perine's a good one to pick up if you've lost Pacheco as well. I mean, there's been loads of injuries this week, to be fair. Another one on my list is Jalen Naylor of the Vikings. 2 touchdowns in 2 weeks. JJ went off injured. Addison's out for multiple weeks. Jalen Naylor should be wide receiver 1 if that was 2 missing.
Yeah. Jefferson, they don't think it's that bad.
No, they don't think it's that bad, but I think
it
last week
annoys me. It annoys me when they say he's week to week, because I'm like, that's exactly what you said about Puka just before he got injured in week 1, and now he's on IR. So
now he's on IR.
So what week to week now? What that means to me is you're going to play him next week when you shouldn't, and he's going to end up on IR. So maybe don't do that.
Yeah, I think Jalen Naylor's going to get an increased workload, especially like Jefferson can come back on a snap count, and then it's Jalen Naylor everywhere else. So I think he's a good pickup. And one more, well, 2 more actually. Mike Gesicki.
And I've always
always stayed away from Bengals tight ends because, especially in the first 2 weeks, we've used Gesicki, we've used Tanner Hudson, we've used Eric Hall, we've used Sample, and we've spread it around. But Gesicki led the team in targets against the Chiefs on Sunday. He had 9 targets for 7 receptions, scored 16 points. And, in week 1, he only scored 4.8, but he did drop that touchdown pass. So that is another double-digit week for Gesicki. And, I don't know whether you watched the game or not, you've seen the highlights, but he looked awesome as well.
Yeah, well, I was watching Red Zone, but as you know, there was only 2 other games going on at that time, so I did get to see quite a lot of Chiefs Bengals. And he was one of I've gone Derek Carr, Quentin Johnson, and then I got 2 tight ends. One of them being Mike Gesicki, because I think tight ends are always, it's a terrible position in fantasy. I've heard people say that we shouldn't even include it. I love it because it's so random, and there's just, even me, and you look at it through 2 games, Travis Kelce's scored absolutely, well, he hasn't scored nothing, but he scored really poorly. Dalton Kincaid's not done a lot. Mark Andrews still hasn't done a lot. You had your big week from Isaiah Likely last week. Gesicki looked good, and he looked a big part of the offense. And I don't know how much of that is down to Higgins being out, and how much of it's down to, we didn't talk about this before, but Chase is another one who's disappointing me a little bit, which doesn't surprise me, because he sat out the whole of training camp and just stood on the sidelines handing out towels or whatever through training camp. He's like, it's going to take him a while to get back into it, but I think Gesicki's a good shout, at least for the next couple of weeks.
Well, with T. Higgins being out, and like with the game with the Chiefs last night, there was less than 3 snaps all night where Ja'Marr Chase wasn't double teamed.
Yeah.
So he just wasn't open as an option.
And that's what they did to the Ravens. That's what they did to the Ravens last week. They just took away Mark Andrews. It's like, that's what the Chiefs will do. It's like, right, he's your main option. We're going to take him away, and you've got to beat us through your other options. And that's where Likely's big game come from. But I don't think the Bengals got enough options that they're not going to include Gesicki, even if they can get the ball to Chase. So I like it. I think he's a good shout. And Hunter Henry was the other one. If you're looking for a tight end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have one for deeper leagues.
Yeah.
That's good, isn't it? Yeah.
12 targets, 8 receptions, 109 yards.
Yeah.
He had a big day yesterday. Yeah.
Big week. In deeper leagues, and this one's quite amusing to me anyway, but Mason Rudolph at the Titans, because I think Brian Callahan has clearly had enough of Will Levis.
I've not seen the. I didn't see him have a go at him on the sideline, but I believe it was hilarious.
Have you not seen it? Will Levis has pitched it back rather than just taking the sack.
Oh no, I saw what happened. Sorry, but I didn't. Apparently, he went to the sideline and basically said to him, "What the are you doing?"
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And then he got asked about it afterwards. He's like, "Well, I think you could all see what I was saying, so we don't need to talk about it anymore." Yeah.
So, I think Brian Callahan has had enough.
Yeah. Is Mason Rudolph that much better though?
I'm sure Mason Rudolph would just take the sack.
Yeah, probably.
Rather than just turning the ball over.
Yeah, I agree with that. Selection nightmare time. So last week, we've already talked about mine last week. It was Anthony Richardson or Kyler Murray. I went Kyler Murray in every league that I could, especially the important ones, and that worked out perfectly. Love Kyler Murray. Go Cards, go. That's me fully back on the. If I was ever off the Kyler Murray train, I'm fully back on. I'm ready to get hurt again. So that's me, and Kyler Murray. Yours was DK Metcalf against Terry McLaurin.
Terry McLaurin, and I didn't listen.
I
didn't listen.
You told me to go with DK Metcalf.
Yeah, you told me to go with DK. I ignored you. I thought Terry McLaurin against the Giants, big game. I am officially done with Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, I don't
officially
think you can
done.
trust that. He should be brilliant in that team, but I don't know whether. I think he's one of those who might come good at the end of the year, but I think you might be waiting a few weeks. So
yeah, I'm so done with him.
If you can afford to hold on to him, but that makes us. I reckon that makes us 4 of 4. Even though you didn't take my advice, I think that makes like we did talk about.
Yeah, that's true. You're gonna undefeated.
We've got the 2 right the week before as well, so I think we're doing quite well with these selection nightmares.
Yeah. So do you want to go first? Because I have got a listener one.
Oh, okay. Have you got one as well?
Do you want to go?
Or we just doing the listener one instead?
I thought we'd do yours and then the listener one.
Okay. Mine's a difficult one because I'm a little bit short on wide receivers in a full PPR league. So and when I say I've got no Jalen Waddle, I'm not comfortable playing Jalen Waddle anymore with Skylar Thompson at quarterback. He was already pushing his luck with Tua. I was quite happy to stick by my. But at the moment, I just want to sit him on the bench and not have that problem. And this is the same league that I've potentially got Justin. Well, I have got Justin Jefferson, but I'm potentially missing Justin Jefferson. So I need one of these 3 to play. Amari Cooper against the Giants, Brian Thomas at the Buffalo Bills, or Jameson Williams at the Arizona Cardinals. So we've got differing levels of quality in terms of what they've done so far. As in, Amari Cooper hasn't done anything. Brian Thomas has looked good in bits, and Jameson Williams has probably been one of the bigger breakout stars. But I just don't know if I can. Jameson Williams is the obvious one on kind of. He's probably scored more points than everyone else, but I don't know if I can trust him away at the Cardinals.
Well, I'm gonna tell you to go with Jameson Williams.
Okay.
I think I wouldn't trust Brian Thomas. I'd take Brian Thomas out of the equation instantly.
Yeah, I quite like Brian Thomas. He looks good through 2 weeks, but at the Bills, I think it's on Monday night as well. Monday night, yeah, possibly not.
I mean, I do like Brian Thomas. I think he has looked good through 2 weeks. Who isn't looking good is Trevor Lawrence, though.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence finished last season very poorly, and it doesn't look like he's got any better.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine. I know it's going to be tough for you to admit that because you traded for him with me, but
it's not so much that. It's he's my main dynasty league quarterback, and my number 2 is Tua. So that's like, it's not so much. It's not in a super flex. They are my 2 starters. So it's not so much that I have. I'm clutching straws. It's like I've got nothing left to clutch onto. So in a league that I thought I was stacked a couple of weeks ago, and since then I've lost Puka, I've lost Tua. Like I can't afford for Trevor Lawrence to not be any good. So. But,
no, yeah. I think you might end up with Andy Dalton and Mason Rudolph there as your quarterbacks.
Yeah, I could win the league like that. So
yes.
You reckon Jameson Williams over Cooper, Amari Cooper?
Yeah, I mean we already discussed Amari Cooper in the hating on you section. Like he's not broke 5 points in 2 games. Deshaun Watson looks finished, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And Jameson Williams through 2 weeks.
He looks awesome. Looking finished.
Yeah, it's just like even yesterday, he had 11 targets, and that is in a game where St. Brown got 19 targets. So they are spreading it, and this, even as a wide receiver too, he's getting the attention the wide receiver ones get elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I think his quarterback is infinitely better than Jared Goff. And last week, you picked Cooper Kupp for Fantasy Game Day as your captain on the basis that the Cardinals D aren't very good against wide receivers.
Well, yes, I did. That was part of it. It was mainly the fact that he'd had 21 targets the week before. I was like, well, he's going to get at least 10. So let's go for it. Yeah.
And I think the Cardinals D was ranked 25th against receivers.
Yeah, they were.
It's against the Cardinals. Marvin Harrison Jr. is going off. Trey McBride's going off. That I reckon has to be a shootout.
Yeah, could be. It'd be a good game. That. Looking forward to that one.
I'm going to go with the form guy and go with Jameson Williams.
Now I'm back into watching every Cardinals game. It would be like from start to finish. That would it's another reason to pick him, I suppose. Right, I'll go with Jameson Williams. That's my start for the week.
Good man.
What's the let's hear the listener one then.
So the listener one is another 3-way dilemma. And we should be bringing 3-ways in because that reduces our chances of getting it right.
That's true.
That is true.
Especially as we've just moved on from a 3-way and now we're just a 2-man team.
Back-to-back 3-ways. It's this is from a guy called Dave Ludlam. So thanks for sending this in, Dave. Appreciate it.
Dave.
This is for his last flex spot.
Okay.
And he's between Kenneth Walker, Zach Moss, or Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Ooh, that's grim.
Yeah. Now, I appreciate I've hit you on the fly with this. I've known about this one all day because he sent it in. And I have researched this to death. Because we don't often get a listener send it in. But I'm going to let you have first crack before I then go off.
My initial thoughts are that the Bengals are going to get going this week. Like, you were unlucky yesterday, and I think this is it now. You're going to push it on. And I've just looked at the schedule, and it's Monday night, and you've got the Commanders coming to town. And I don't rate the Commanders' defense at all. I think they're just going to keep giving points up. And I think you could win that game, and it could be the Zach Moss. I don't think he's going to go nuclear. I don't think he's the sort of running back that has a 25-30 point week in his realm of outcomes. But I do think he could. I do think you will get ahead, and you could give him the ball, and he will get a lot of usage. So that's kind of where I'm leaning. I think the other two are Seahawks. Kenneth Walker. The problem is we don't know if Kenneth Walker's going to be fit or not.
Yeah, so I'm taking the approach that we are assuming that Kenneth Walker is playing.
If Kenneth Walker's playing, I'd go Kenneth Walker. He's the better player than the other two. That's as simple as that. They both got game. I mean, the Dolphins have done nothing on defense through 2 weeks. So it's the Dolphins out the Seahawks. If it was up to me out of those three, I could not. And he was healthy and ready to go. I couldn't be in a world where I didn't play Kenneth Walker. And the more I watch Zach Charbonnet, the more he isn't it. So they are going. If Kenneth Walker's fit, they will give him the ball 20 times, and he will have an opportunity to break off one of those 80-yard touchdown runs. So Kenneth Walker's my answer.
Fair enough. I'm actually going with you. I think Kenneth Walker's the answer there, as long as he suits up.
Yeah.
I'll start with Zach Moss. I'm going to instantly discount him from the equation. I'd actually consider dropping him from my fantasy team if I had him from what I've seen over 2 weeks. Yeah, he scored a TD in week 1, 14 points. But he only had 9 carries. Week 2, like yesterday, he only had 12, scored 5.7. Chase Brown has only had 7 carries over the first 2 games. We are not running the ball.
Yeah.
We went out in the offseason and we invested heavily in the O-line. And we brought in all of these. We've got Trent Browning from the Patriots, Amarius Mims in the first round of the draft. He's yet to play due to win. Right, I'm being Bart's up and Red Dog wants me to let him out. Shut up. we got
doesn't like your
a 6'8"
opinion.
lineman, I know, to protect Burrow and allow time to pass the ball. So we are invested in the pass. Sorry, 1 second.
I don't. I think though this week could be slightly different. I was like, Zach Moss is. Sooner or later, you are going to get a lead in a game, and if you're going to get like this is the game where I can see you going up by 20 points, and then they're going to turn to run the ball, and that's where Zach Moss comes into his own. Like you're not going to be leaning on Zach Moss at Arrowhead to try and get you in front. That's where Joe Burrow needs to lead the way. Whereas I think Zach Moss is slightly different.
I think through 2 games, it's clear we've invested in protecting Burrow. We're going with an air raid philosophy. And, when we get T. Higgins back, which he is trending to be back for this week, I can only assume we're going to throw it even more. I'm not interested in either of the Bengals running backs, unless there's an injury to either one of them or Joe Burrow himself. Kenneth Walker, before he picks up his injury, week 1, 20 rushes, 103 yards and a TD. Charbonnet filled in nicely with nearly 18 points in his absence last week. But the Seahawks O-line is showing its strength in opening up the running lanes for whoever's carrying the ball. So there is a good opportunity for Walker should he be playing. Jackson Smith and Jigba, too unpredictable. Can't put him in ahead of Walker. Yeah, he did well last week. It's his first ever 100-yard game in his career. And he had 16 targets from Geno Smith, which is only the second time he's ever had double digits since he was drafted by the Seahawks.
I didn't have that much, to be honest, yesterday.
Yeah. Week 1, Tyler Lockett out. He got more targets than everyone. So it's random who Geno's targeting. So I would go for Kenneth Walker. Bit of bonus content. If you're a stats man, the difference between Seattle's pass blocking and their run blocking is massive. Via PFF, their O-line has an average rating of 58.03, with Charles Cross boosting that with 81.5. Their run blocking rating is 75.48, which is a massive, massive difference from 58 points pass blocking rating. So if you are going to take anyone from that Seattle offense, take the running back.
Okay. We're very stat heavy there, mate.
Yeah, I told you. I did my research. If you're a listener and you send it in, I promise I will research it to death for you.
Yeah.
So,
well, we both
Dave
agree.
Ludlam, Kenneth Walker.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Fingers crossed. We'll review that next week. We've got 2 minutes left to run through the primetime games. We stuffed it up last week on Thursday night, and we both went Dolphins. Therefore, the money was on the Dolphins, and it was gone. It was gone by half time. So that's a record in terms of how quickly to lose a fiver. So this week there are 4 games because it's double. We've got the double Monday night.
Double Monday night, yeah.
Which is annoying because I'm like, I don't know why they do that. I don't know why it's like prime time, but we'll put them like slightly adjusted from each other, so half an hour apart. So Thursday night football, not the most exciting game ever, but I will be getting up because it's the Jets. Pats at Jets.
Jets.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think the Pats have done well through 2 weeks, but I'm not sure they can handle that Jets defense. And I think Aaron Rodgers will. I don't think they're explosive yet, but I think Aaron Rodgers will do enough. Chiefs at Falcons on Sunday night is an interesting game. Difficult to call at this point because we've not actually seen Falcons play their second game yet. But I'm still leaning Chiefs.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be the Chiefs.
Not bitter in any way. Monday Night Football, let's start with the one that's easy to call, or you probably think they're both easy to call, but Commanders at Bengals.
Bengals
all the way.
This is where our season starts.
Yeah, and I'm guessing based on what you've already said about Trevor Lawrence, you don't fancy him to go into Upper New York and beat the Bills on Monday night.
I do not. Actually, not.
No.
I've been really impressed by the Bills the first 2 games. Like I was quite, admittedly, I was quite down on them before the season started. I thought they were gonna,
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna have a down year this year, but they look really good, and Josh Allen's looking decent too, which you would expect.
Yeah, they do look good. I think I've already talked about James Cook. I think he's going to be a really important piece for him this year. But yeah, I'm going the same as you. So we're going Jets, Chiefs, Bills, Bengals. I'd like to see the Jags give them a game, and out of the two, I feel like the Jags Bills is probably going to be closer than Commanders Bengals. I think they'll destroy the Commanders on Monday night. But that's half decent.
I'm calling it now. We are scoring 50 plus against the Commanders this week.
50 points.
Yeah,
that's a big shout. Maybe we should put money on that instead.
We are putting 50 up against the Commanders.
Okay, I'm going to look at the odds on that. Might double it up. Right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Loved catching up with you as always, mate. Enjoyed that. That was a good review of week 2 and a preview ahead to week 3. I hope everyone's fantasy teams are doing as well as ours are, and good luck in week 3. As always, check us out on social at JMD Pod. Subscribe on YouTube and look out for the week 4 preview next week.